the forum is all yours. So welcome to BOFTA. You've seen the BOFTA. So please.
My journey starts way back actually. When I was doing my 7th grade, I think, 7th standard. I was quite a bad student in school, and most of the teachers liked me only because you talk all nonsense basically, not without hurting people, and you are very good at most of the cultural activities and sports. That was the only thing they kept promoting me with warning from 1st standard to 9th standard actually. 10th la avangala onnum panna mudiyala basically aap enakku vandiruchange. So I remember very well actually my Hindi teacher. So she said, hey, அந்த படத்துக்கு வந்து ஏதோ செலக்ட் பண்ண வந்திருக்காங்களாம், நீ சும்மா தானே இருக்க, போய் ஆடிஷன் கொடு அப்படின்னு. Because that was the time Mani sir was making Anjali. That was the time he was making Anjali, and I remember the director of May Madam, Balu. So he and one of the production guys, they were hopping schools, selecting kids. Sarin solite, myself, my brother, and all of us, we just went and gave an audition. I remember Alvarpetla GV Films office irunduchi. That was the most funniest part. Enna getting na, as soon as I went there, you were seeing close to about some 1,000 children actually. Kocha na maatu sandha mari irundhathu. Na ulla ponane nama da last as usual enter avumbodhu. Sari pinnadi ninnittu irundhom. Sari enada sari ipdi vandhutom. ஏதோ பண்ண சொன்னாங்க, பண்ணிட்டு போயிடலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு then we were looking, there was a wanky looking guy, இப்படி மெலிசா ஒருத்தன் வந்து உடம்பு நெளிச்சு வளைச்சு ரப்பர் மாதிரி ஆடிட்டு இருந்தான் ஆக்சுவலி. யாருன்னு பார்த்தா that was பிரபுதேவா at that time. ஸோ அங்கேயே நாங்கள் பின்னாடி கமெண்ட் அடிச்சிருந்தோம், பயங்கரம் மச்சான் வேங்கியாக பயங்கரமாக ஆடிட்டு இருக்கான் மச்சான். See, because at that age you had no clue about films. You were dancing and you were just more inclined towards entertainment in your school, and that's what you liked really doing. You just enjoyed, So we went, and I think the fate took us on another toll because they started selecting kids from the back. Pinnadilende assistant directors vandu, I remember still Mr. Romeo director K.S. Ravi, and all of them were assisting Mani sir at that time. So they started taking names and all these things, and it zeroed down to last 25 to 40 children. It zeroed down, and that's how it started. My first film experience was amazing because it was a lot of kids, and at that age we just thought of having fun. That was more inclined because that was summertime, I really remember well, and you were fascinated with all the things that were happening. It was so fascinating because you have Mani sir one side who not only says action, he will, I think எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச 2-3 கண்ணாடி உடைச்சிருப்பார் நினைக்கிறேன் அங்கே ஷூட்டிங் நடக்கும்போது, because he will act for all the children, because all of you know Mani sir is very quiet and soft, and because he's very intense inside, because that's how he is, and he is a great performer. Whatever you saw Anjali, Kutti Papa doing or whoever is doing, everything is just him. It's just completely him. That is how much of acting potential he's got inside. So it was so fascinating to see him perform on stage. So later, you were just having fun, and he was producing a film called Kshatriyan. So I remember என்னோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஷாட் இருக்கும்போது as an actor, இந்த ஃப்ளாட்டில் இருக்கிறவங்க எல்லாருமே பயங்கர பிரச்சனையானவங்க, இந்த ஃப்ளாட்டில் இருக்கவங்க எல்லாமே பயங்கர பிரச்சனை, செருப்பால் அடிப்பேன் அப்படின்னு. என்ன சார் என்ன நடிக்காத அப்படின்னு, என்ன கூப்பிட்டு நடிக்க சொல்லிட்டு நடிக்காத அப்படின்றாங்களே அப்படின்னு. No, just say it, don't want you to act, you just say it அப்படின்னு. சரி, you bloody bum அப்படிதான் பேசுவார் actually, that's how he speaks. So my first dubbing experience, okay, படத்தை பார்த்து ஏதோ சிங்க் பண்ணணும், என்ன சொல்கிறாங்க நம்ம பாட்டு சொல்லிவிடுவோம் ஆக்சுவலாக. No, you have to sync it along with that, you just listen to me how I'm doing it, அப்படின்னு. And then he started producing Kshatriyan, and that was at Alyam Productions, and he said, I wanted to just go do a part in my film which I'm just producing, வீட்டிலலாம் கேட்டாங்க, எப்படி இருந்தாலும் படிக்க மாட்டேன்றோம், ஏதாவது பண்ணாலும் அது பரவாயில்ல. I was again fascinated because I thought there'd be too many kids around there, because that was the age. Okay, and I went there. கடைசியில் பார்த்து we were just all alone. You had to just play junior Vijaykanth actually, and it was about 15 to 18 minutes of screen time. It was quite fun performing because that was again completely a very serious role. Then a lot of offers started coming as an actor, they wanted me to play Lord Krishna in one of the Mahabharata series. It was one Krishna episode, and they were again other small films, and again so many other films started coming in. But then later I realized, because you can act, but the problem is I was not too excited with that. I was not too excited because I didn't know what I was doing, because I couldn't identify myself. That was the most important thing, the search of identifying. You are fascinated with movies, the whole process of the way the lights are, the way things are, the way it was going, and the age you see only fascination actually. That fascination is what actually triggered, but fascination is just not anything and everything. So I thought, okay, let me stop acting. So put my foot down and I said, okay, வீட்டில் எங்கள் அம்மாலாம் சொல்லிட்டாங்க நீ வந்து ஒழுங்காக படிச்சிடுற அப்படின்னு. I remember Mani sir also saying, hey, you just team as a child actor, man, why didn't you just study? எல்லாத்தையும் மூட்டை கட்டு நீங்கள் தான் கூப்பிட்டீங்க, நீங்கள் தான் பண்ண சொன்னீங்க, மூட்டை கட்டு நீங்களே சொல்கிறீங்க. So I just quit after that, and at that time, I think somewhere in my back, in my subconscious level, you wanted to do something in the movies, but you didn't know what to do, you know, you had no clue what to do. So I said, okay, fine, let me, I was more interested in pictures, because how it started, visuals, eppadi aarambichaduna, words were a problem for me, you know, I was more interested in pictures. If I read, maybe I won't be able to understand, but if someone tells me, I can understand it better, because you start picturizing whatever they say, whether it comes to history, geography, or whatever it is, including science. If it's told like a story, I could understand. That's why I had huge problem with a lot of teachers, even when they say it very theoretically, I couldn't understand anything. But when somebody is telling it like a story, I could understand. That you started understanding it much later, you know, it took a lot of time. Around my 9th or my 10th, so I was about to swap my school. I studied in St. Bede's Anglo-Indian Higher Secondary School, and my cousin studied in Alpha. So he said, hey, why don't you just switch to Alpha? There are a lot of girls. Oh, okay, this sounds very interesting. நீ இத்தனை வருஷம் பாய்ஸ் ஸ்கூல்லே படிச்சிட்ட, he's 2 years senior to me அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு டிசைட் பண்ணியாச்சு. Okay, we'll shift to Alpha அப்படின்னு. There comes the biggest new invention which I discovered myself, what I really love the most. So there was one of these uncles who used to do photography actually. So shoot பண்ணி கேமராவோடய சுற்றிட்டு இருப்பார் எப்போ பார்த்தாலும், பயங்கர இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங், அப்பப்போ கேமரா காட்டிகிட்டு இருப்பார் அப்படின்னு. ஸோ ஹெட் மாஸ்டர்லாம் வந்துட்டாங்க, இந்த பையனை நீங்கள் அனுப்புறீங்க, பிகாஸ் ஐ வாஸ் வெரி குட் அட் ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ், நோ ஹீ குட் பி இன் த சேம் ஸ்கூல் அப்படின்னு சொல்லவும் முடியும், பொண்ணுங்களுக்காக அவன் வேறு ஸ்கூலுக்கு போகிறான் அப்படின்னு. But then later I got an offer which I couldn't refuse. The offer is very simple. My dad said, I'll buy you a camera, so you can shoot. After my 10th, I remember. So I chose if it's girls or camera. I chose camera at that point of time. I remember I got this Zenith metal body. It's quite heavy. It's a beautiful camera. And at that point, how we learned, that was my first exposure to photography. I remember that uncle who used to teach me cameras, reading எல்லாம் சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க actually. அதில் ரீடிங் எல்லாம் சொன்ன அப்புறமா he said, நிறுத்துற அதெல்லாம் அப்படின்னு, நீ இப்படியே பார்த்து ரீடிங் சொல்லு அப்படின்னு. இப்படியே பார்த்து ரீடிங் சொல்லுமா, எப்படியே பார்த்து எப்படி ரீடிங் சொல்கிறது? He taught me to see reading with hand. So you didn't understand at that time, but that was again visual, you know the quality of light. So generally இப்போ நீங்கள் உட்காந்திங்கன்னா இங்கே வந்து எவ்வளோ ஓப்பன் ஷட்டர் and what is your exposure you can have அப்படின்றது, and even in a harsh light, okay, how much you need to open up your thing, how much you need to close, everything you started figuring it out via practice. 10th I started shooting, and that's how it started off when I stopped thing. But I knew I wanted to do movies, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then my slowly interest started in photography, got into photography. 12th முடிச்சேன். 12th முடிச்சிட்டு என்ன பண்ணலாம் இப்போ சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக வந்து I should tell you one very interesting event actually. 10th results, ஓகே, 10th ரிசல்ட்ஸ் வந்து காலங்காத்தால் என் கசின் எல்லோரும் கிளம்பி வந்துட்டாங்க. இட்ஸ் ஜஸ்ட் ஃபார் ஃபன். ஓகே, கிளம்பி வந்துட்டு பிகே ரிசல்ட்ஸ் வந்து என்னடா என்ன தூங்கிட்டு இருக்க அப்படின்னு. ஓகே, வரட்டும், ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை, 10 வருஷமாக எக்ஸாம் எழுதிட்டு இருக்கோம், புதுசாக என்ன எழுத போகிறோம் அப்படின்னு. ஸோ சரியான லூஸுங்க. தே ஸ்டார்டட் சீங் ஃபஸ்ட் கிளாஸ்லேருந்து பார்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க என்னோட பாஸ் மார்க்கு. நான் சிரிச்சிட்டேன், நேரு நியூ ஸ்மார்ட் ஒரு லஸ். ஸோ ஐ செட் எங்கள் அம்மா கிட்ட, அம்மா என்னம்மா நீ உட்காந்து ஃபஸ்ட் கிளாஸ்லேருந்து பார்த்துருக்கேன், நீ அப்படியே லக்கில் ஃபஸ்ட் கிளாஸில் பாஸ் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா, ஏச்சி அதெல்லாம் நடக்காது, என்ன பேசிகிட்டு இருக்கேன் நீ. செகண்ட் கிளாஸ்லேருந்து பார்க்க ஆரம்பித்தாங்க. அப்போ ஹோப்ஸ் போயிடுச்சு, ஏன்னா அங்கேயும் நம்பர் இல்லை. தேர்ட் கிளாஸில் பார்த்தாக்க அங்கேயும் நம்பர் இல்லை ஆக்சுவலாக. ஸோ எங்கள் அப்பாலாம் பயங்கர இது, கவலைப்படாத, உங்கள் அப்பா சக்திக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி உனக்கு மெட்டலில் உனக்கு இது ஸ்டெயின்லெஸ் ஸ்டீல் ரிக்ஷா வாங்கி தரேன் அப்படின்னாரு. சாதா ரிக்ஷாவில் ஸ்டெயின்லெஸ் ஸ்டீலில் வாங்கி தரேன் அப்படின்னு. So my granddad was another most interesting thing. Hey, you don't worry. My granddad was an English gold medalist. So அவர் வந்து he used to talk a lot about silver tongue Srinivasa Shastri அப்படின்னு வர்றது. And காலங்காத்தில் ஏஞ்சி he used to correct newspapers and he used to write letters to the editor. So he died when he was 96. So he was a huge inspiration in terms of whatever you do at its best. உங்கள் அப்பா கிடக்கிறான்டா, உங்கள் அப்பா என்ன பண்ணா, நீ ரிக்ஷா ஓட்டினாலும் you be the best at it அப்படின்னு. So that was very interesting actually. So it gave me phenomenal confidence. Okay அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பாஸ் பண்ணியாச்சு. 12th was my next changeover in my life altogether. Was when I was choosing whether it's going to be film institute or what should I do. Again one of my seniors influence in St. Bede's. So I continued my schooling in St. Bede's. Chose camera, I continued. There is this department called BSc Visual Communication. So why don't you try your hand in அப்படின்னு. And lot of people thought that at that point of time I had no hopes and I will just get into acting. That is what they thought. Everybody, you're good at it, why did you just get into acting? That was the only thing. But I was not inclined to that. So Film Institute, I remember Pune Film Institute, I remember Taramani, and finally I chose BSc Visual Communication. The only reason, again, it interested me so much because it was talking about so many other factors other than cinema. Because you were talking about print media, you were talking about television production, you were talking about film and all those things. So I went and applied for it. ஒரே காலேஜ், ஒரே சீட், ஒரே டிபார்ட்மெண்ட், இதுதான் அப்ளை பண்ணேன். எனக்கு சீட்டு கிடைக்கல. I wrote my entrance, I didn't get my seat. I was completely persistent. Morning, I used to 4.5 years I did gymnastics. So காலங்கத்தில் அங்கே முடிச்சு சைக்கிள் எடுத்துட்டு every day I went to college. I saw all the college kids going to the college. College reopened, I didn't get. First ஒரு 10-15 days எங்கள் அம்மா கூட வந்தாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் she gave up hopes. So for me it was not a big deal. I said, how can they not give me a seat? I mean, what is this? This is ridiculous. And I think it's because of the marks and Christian institution, there were so many other factors. So 2.5 months, every day, morning and lunchtime, I went to college. Thinking that I am going to college, but going and standing outside principal's office, asking for my admission. And HOD, going to the Jesuits room, meeting the HOD and all these things. And I remember after 2.5 months, my mom gave up hopes. நீ உற்று வேற ஏதாவது படிச்சுக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு. This is what is very important, which I didn't realize at that time, is not giving up was one thing. And they got fed up. ரொம்ப கடுப்பேட்டாங்க actually. HOD, come here, what is your problem? Why you don't want me to give you a seat? Why you don't want to give me the seat? Why should I give you the seat? I'll make you proud அப்படின்னு. போடா இங்கேருந்து முதல்ல அடிச்சிருவா அப்படின்னாரு. சரின்னு சொல்லிட்டு he got fed up and we were going for a polygram trip. It's called a field trip where we'll be going to some village and exploring it, because which is part of the visual communication medium. So just before the trip, என்னோட டார்ச்சர் தாங்க முடியாம, to see how persistent, how confident and how I didn't give up on anything. So Pune, I remember the name of the Pune also, Anthony. I met him recently actually. Why am உள்ள கூப்பிடுறாங்க போயா அப்படின்னு. So நேரா உள்ள போனோனே principal and my HOD Rajanayagam, I don't like this fellow, he is irritating me, father. நான் நினச்சேன் சரி கூப்பிட்டு ஆப்படிக்க போகிறாங்கன்னு நினச்சேன். We are going for the polygram trick. இந்த பையலுக்கு முதல்ல சீட்டை போட்டு கொடுத்துருங்க, முதல்ல இவனை கூப்பிட்டு போயிடுறேன் அப்படின்னு. எனக்கு சந்தோஷம் தாங்க. I was too excited because finally you applied in one seat, you just one college and you didn't get it, and finally you're getting it. That happiness, that is the struggle of getting something, was that happiness was phenomenal. Maybe அப்போ ஈஸியாக சீட்டு கிடச்சிருந்தா மேபி அதோட வேல்யூ எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்காதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். But I was so excited to get that. This I'm telling you is because these are all the moments which gave me a real high in my life. I went to my college, I continued, எல்லாமே முடிச்சாச்சு actually. Correctly in my second year I started working. ஏன்னா கரெக்டாக நான் ஜாயின் பண்ணும்போது at that time I wanted to shoot, so I used to my whole logic was, okay fine, we'll make something, ஏதோ ஒன்று பண்ணலாம். So beg, borrow, steal, murder, make something. இதுதான் என்னோட லாஜிக்காக இருந்துச்சு. So I remember first year join பண்ணோன்னே, the first exposure to camera, they started talking about lenses, they started to, and you were already a little familiar with it because you loved it. So it was more interesting. And at that time they had this high-8 camera actually, and இது இருக்கும். And somebody had that high-8 camera. I remember first year I made my first 5-minute short film. யாருக்குமே தெரியாது ஆக்சுவலாக அப்படின்னு பண்ணது. And that was for a public service announcements. Chess Foundation, டாக்டர் மனோரமா இருக்காங்க. So they were living down actually, the doctor. நீ ஏதோ விஸ்காமில் ஏதோ படிச்சுட்டு இருக்கியாமே, உன்னெல்லாம் ஃபோட்டோலாம் எடுப்பியாமே, கொஞ்சம் வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணி விட அப்படின்னு. Okay doctor, I'll come doctor. And that was my first thing for the AIDS affected children. I didn't know how to shoot them. நான் ஸ்கிரிப்ட் எழுதி, I wrote a script on Ringa Roses actually. So how kids, I didn't want to show them in a very sad state, so I just wanted them to enjoy life. So I took them all on a picnic, all the AIDS affected children கூப்பிட்டு பீச்சுக்கு கூப்பிட்டு போயிட்டு I shot. But then later they had a problem because we are not supposed to show their faces. அப்போல்லாம் எதுவுமே தெரியாது நமக்கு, because their kids' identity and all these things. It was very sad because there was this 4-year-old kid and all AIDS affected actually. I remember exactly, there were 12 kids who I took around to shoot. That was my first ever film I shot. And it came out really sweet actually. It was very sweet. It was just a 5-minute film. That was my first year. And second year came where Mani sir again called me. So because எப்போவுமே படம் ஆரம்பிக்கும்போது கூப்பிடுவாரு, நீ என்ன இன்னும் வளரவே மாட்டியாடா அப்படின்னு. என் வளர்ச்சி இவ்வளோதான் சார் அப்படின்னு இவ்வளோதான் அப்படின்னு. So because he used to always want to see how we have grown, because he used to keep with very few kids. And that's where I met Santhosh Sivan. Okay, they were shooting for Iruvar அப்படின்னு அவர் வந்து அப்படியே சிகரெட்டை வச்சுட்டு அப்படியே பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தார். பார்த்துட்டு லஞ்ச் பிரேக்கில் யூ பிரதர் ஜஸ்ட் கோ கம்மி வித் மீ, ஐ ஆம் மேக்கிங் அ ஃபிலிம் கால் டெரரிஸ்ட் இப்படியே நடந்து கூட்டு போனார். ஒரு கதையை சொல்லிட்டு இப்படியே கூட்டு வந்தார். நான் அப்போ வந்து வி யூஸ் டு திங்க் திஸ் மேன் இஸ் அ கிரேட் சினிமாட்டோகிராஃபர். என்ன இவர் சினிமாட்டோகிராஃபர்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஏதோ கதை சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காரு இவர் அப்படின்னு. ஹி வாஸ் டைரக்டிங் டெரரிஸ்ட். ஸோ சார் சரி ஓகே எல்லாம் சொல்லிட்டீங்க, நான் என்ன பண்ணணும், என்ன எதுக்கு கூப்பிட்டு கதை சொல்கிறீங்க அப்படின்னு. மேக் திஸ் வாட் டு ஜஸ்ட் கம் அண்ட் ஆக்ட் இன் தட் ஃபில்ம் அப்படின்னு. என்ன அது ஆல்வேஸ் திஸ் கேஸ் கீப் காலிங் ஃபார் ஆக்டிங். ஸோ ஐ செட் நோ சார் ஐ டோன்ட் ஆக்ட், ஐ ஜஸ்ட் வாண்ட் டு ஒர்க், ஐ ஜஸ்ட் ஷட் அப் அண்ட் கம் அண்ட் ஆக்ட் அப்படின்னு. ஷட் அப் அண்ட் கம் அண்ட் ஆக்ட் இதுன்னு இந்த கேங்ஸ்டர்ஸ் ஜோனில் இருக்குது அப்படின்னு. பிகாஸ் ஹி வாஸ் மேக்கிங் a very small film. Terrorist is actually a very small film which I don't know if you guys are really aware of it, landed up becoming a very big film actually in the international market. And my condition was I will act, but provided you let me work அப்படின்னு. ஷட் அப் அண்ட் கம் அப்படின்னு. இதுக்கும் ஷட் அப்பா சரி சொல்லிட்டு I went. My first experience on set was like crazy because the whole thing what you saw when you were doing your 7th grade and here when you were actually seeing was phenomenally thing. Hey, what are you doing? Is your shot? No, just come up. Okay, you just ran. But I couldn't focus because I had to give my shot, but I was really trying to focus on what he's saying, how he's lighting. Absolutely there was nothing. No phenomenal lights. That man is really magic. That man is really, he's got a lot of magic. One thing which I learned with him on the very first day, I mean not first couple of days when I was shooting, I didn't understand at that time is, what I mean, there's nothing, what is this, we don't have, we're supposed to get all these things and there's nothing there. Oh, it's okay, we'll, this looks more beautiful, we'll shoot. I realized it when I was doing Ashoka, what he said at that time, because he constantly kept saying it. And I'm getting, it is not that you need all these things to make a film. It is the way you see it. So he said, no, I realized even ஒண்ணுமே இருக்காது, ஒரு சின்ன room இருக்கும். We had no choice, we had to shoot. Hey, this room is looking beautiful actually. I think we can make it look beautiful. The way he psyched himself without cribbing. There was no the cribbing concept of it. Oh, this looks really beautiful. We can make it look beautiful. We can make it look beautiful. When you're saying it, it automatically just functions in your head, and when you're shooting it, you automatically starts looking at it in a beautiful way. So it starts looking really beautiful. He had that knack of it, and that's a very interesting thing which I learned over the course of 6 years when I was working with him. My exposure to that was completely different because it was all parallel cinema. You were doing Terrorist, Malli, and Navrasa, and you were doing that Gujarat when the earthquake happened. That gave me a phenomenal experience because wherever there were disasters or all these things happening, you happened to travel there and shoot and experience a lot of things. My journey with him started, and my first couple of days I didn't know what to do on set. Then one thing I realized is that you can't wait for instructions, and they don't have time to teach you. நம்ம மென்டலாக போயிட்டோம், நம்ம ஏதாவது கற்றுக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு, ஏதாவது நமக்கு சொல்லுவாங்களா அப்படின்னு, but they don't tell you anything because they don't have time on set. I mean, they themselves are running with every time is money over there. On set, time is money. Okay, we have no time to teach anyone. If you're really smart enough, you observe. So that's when I realized I have to get my hands in. So I started pushing myself and doing a lot of things. Until then, he never looked at me as an assistant at all. Because he never took me seriously. Until and unless I showed a lot of interest in either from going and cleaning up the set or centering the light or whatever it is, whatever he said, I tried to do, which he would tell it to his assistants. But rendu per dhaan irundanga actually, Manoj, so he's quite a good cinematographer today. So you got your hands in, you started moving in, and you started seeing some of the stuff which you haven't even realized that without anything also you can shoot. So it's all got to do with how you look at things. So what matters is not what you see in your naked eye, but what you see is inside the frame. What happens behind, nobody cares actually. So that is one thing which is amazing what I really saw in him. So in this frame, what is required? Rest of the thing doesn't matter. So you have to choose a frame. I remember konjanal palli when I was shooting, because he knew that I was shooting and I was showing a lot of interest in cinematography. But then he pushed me too much in, okay, now just give the dialogue cue. No, slowly, this is during the second film, because he knew that I was really showing interest. Oh, நீ work பண்ணணுமா, சரி வா நீ work பண்ணி நடி, அப்படி கிடையாது. It's because you showed a lot of interest, you pushed yourself in a lot. So you started working. And then give dialogue cue, and the story, this script, it was too confusing for me, because he's a cinematographer, but who's talking about direction, who's talking about scripts, and who's talking about so many other things. But then later you realize he wanted to tell a story. So his way of narration is very visual. He's got a very visual narration. Very interesting way of telling. Our writings எல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா everything will be only visual actually. He doesn't have a format of a script. So he has people to write for him, but what he writes will be all sketches. He'll be sketches and he'll be drawings and he'll be short, there'll be visuals. That is how he writes. So you know that a frame, a photograph has to tell a story. So that's when you realize, okay, so that means you can't just simply keep clicking. It's not an experimental thing. So when you're better shooting, because that time it was film. You know, every time you buy a film, you load it. The processing fees to buy a film was a thing. And every frame, today digital, you can really shoot different exposures and you can try. But at that point of time, it was one frame. One frame. So one frame is everything. So that means if you're going to choose that frame, choose exactly what you want to shoot. From there, so choose exactly what you want to shoot in that frame. So that is how it started off. And then my journey continued with him. I just, even before I could just finish my college, I was working my second year, third year. Then I moved on to Bombay. For 5-6 years, I was working there in Fizza. Then we did a lot of commercial films and we did a lot of documentaries. In between, I started to shoot. So by my third year, I did my 1 hour film. Tiripi Kenji Kutadi, saved all the money, literally almost pledged some jewels and all these things. Then I made one 1 hour film actually. 1 hour film which I directed and I shot. Because I told him, sir, I'm planning to write. It's very simple. He doesn't make life look difficult. So you want to shoot, just get lost and go and shoot. No, you can go and shoot. See, because I think that's a phenomenal confidence he gave. You know, it is not like, no, it is not like that. You can't go, you can't do that. He saw things easy and he put a lot of effort into that. That is, to do it is not a difficult thing. The moment you think it's very difficult, you're finished, you're gone. I want to do that. That means you better find a way to do it. So he said, get lost and go and shoot. Because I was not even sure whether I can really shoot it. So I wrote a script, I went and shot. I remember Bablu was there, Megha was there, and Vaibhav, who is now acting. At that time he was not. So I shot that film and nobody bought it, of course. Because that time Vijay TV was with somebody else. It was not with Star. They had this 1 hour slot episode for romance and thriller. And the மாதிரி ஒரு இது போயிட்டு இருந்துச்சு. I didn't know the procedure. Okay, அவங்க கிட்ட போகணும், நான் இது மாதிரி நான் பண்ண போறேன்னு சொல்லணும், and then you have to make it. I thought I can just make it and go and give it to them. So the idea was only to make a film. So I said I decided to make it and I made it. I made the film. And I remembered correctly, exactly, they closed the slot at that time. That means I didn't do my homework at that time, you know, to really go and find out what the thing is, what the requirement is or anything. My idea was to make a film. So I begged, borrowed, I made the film. I sold that film after doing Arindumari Amlu. To one of the Singapore channels actually. I didn't know what to do. And after Ashoka, that was my last film as an associate. So after Ashoka, by that time I had shot a couple of commercials as a cameraman. I shot for Bapalal at that time. My friends were directing. And then I shot some corporate films. For MMM Hospital, I shot corporate films. So it was a confused zone abdin sollalam, because I don't know whether you are going to take up cinematography or what do you want to take up, because you were just given a slap and say, okay, go and take the focus. Focus, okay. So you immediately go and do the focus. Okay, just go and center the lid. What are you looking at? I thought you wanted me to, I like photography, but I thought you wanted me to do direction. I thought that's why I'm working with you. I just shut up and go and center the light now. Oh, okay. And what is this? What lens are we in? What lens are we in? Okay, immediately look at. So that's when you realized he was doing both. Okay, it was very difficult for me to identify what to do, but then later I realized I have to do everything. Okay, that was the experience where I did sound, because there was no money. So, Achha, do one thing, just go do the sound for this film and come. Go do sound for this film and come. Dubbing ellam pannirkom, ellame pannirkom, go do sound for this film, okay? And then what to do? I have this DAT, just go, there's a microphone which I bought, go take the sound and design the sound and come. So you were just let out to do, but you know what was happening over the course of time. But to get your hand in it, then I took the DAT, then I had to figure out, okay, what are the sounds required for it. So I used to go to places and record sounds.